Hey everyone, it's Will, GamerDad, with another video for you. So in today's video, we're going to review Bivette as a 5-star. Note that if you have finished the cat battles and Bivette's quest to unlock 5-star, you will have her. Now the most important question is she hot or not?
She's fiery hot with that mini skirt.
Oh yeah. Anyways, as a 5-star mage, she is fire-based of course, so she has average speed and a decent amount of MP. You can see her Valor Chant level 3 here, minus fire type resistance by 30%, which is not too bad. I mean, given the fact that we have a lot of other fire DPS that can also do multiple stacks of debuff, not as important as it used to be. Now, you can see the 3 moves I went with. Flame of Life is actually pretty interesting. It's kind of like Guardian Soul for Annabelle, except it gives it a regen XL, and I'll show you that in action. So, as a mage, having some sort of heal that's still offensive, not too bad at all. And also, you can see that she has Burning Lift, which increases int for all party members by 15% for 3 turns, and status removal. So the int boost is not that important, given the fact that again you have a lot of manifest weapons can boost int for the entire team, or for example with OG Garyu with manifest it can boost staff damage by 50% for all users. You can also choose to use Melt if you really want to. Not only is this fire type single DPS on an enemy, it can also apply physical resistance minus 20%. So if you have, I guess, a fire-based DPS team that has some physical elements, that's not a bad one to go with as well. If you have enough physical DPS, you obviously wouldn't be using Bivette anyways, but it gives you some flexibility. And finally, Incineration is a very good one as well. AoE, fire type XL times 2 attack, and if she has full HP, she can also deal an additional single target attack. So keep in mind that she does have a personal weapon that allows for continual regen, as well as increased damage when at max HP. I would say the modifier is not quite as good as, for example, with Garyu's attacks, but again, pretty good. So I put a couple of 20% Grasta just to make her viable, and I'll show you how it goes. So let's take her off for a spin. Now, if you haven't already, make sure you like and subscribe to my channel. I really appreciate it. Also, I do have a Patreon account for those who want to support me that way. So here we are wandering outside Azana, and so you can see that her 2x XL, even against enemies that guard against fire, so fire resistant enemies, it still does a fair bit of damage. And note that without any additional spells, she still heals a couple of 100 HP per turn. Now, with the Flame of Life, did you see that she heals almost 1100 per turn, which is very, very significant actually. So I don't have Yuna, but you can let me know in the comments below if this is comparable to Yuna's regen as well. I mean, this actually feels like it almost outperforms Mariel's regen even with pure Cradle. So in another example, we're going to take on some tougher mobs here as well. Keep in mind that if you are going to lower end mobs, you could easily wipe them out with 1 hit. So you won't even see the second hit from Incineration there. You can see the other mob instantly died. This one's resistant to fire, so a little bit more tough, but we got it done and there's no problem at all. But one important question is, how does she fare in tough boss battles? And so we're going to go against the Regen Worm here. Now, I know there's a number of different strategies you can employ. In this case, we're going to go with the traditional wind DPS out front for the first form, and then we're going to go with the Mage attack for the second form. Now, I remember reading somewhere in either Reddit or something like that, where you can use just a pure wind zone with wind DPS, and you don't even need mages. However, I haven't employed that strategy yet. I just want to kind of stick to what I know, and I mean, in the future, if I want to play around with it, I do have AS Claude, so I can always try that. Now you can see that within the second turn you can rate AF, and in the case of using High Wind Booster and a couple of hits from Miracle Punch as well as Heavenly Dance, Culmination Winds, Dragon Assault, and so on and so forth, easy peasy. Now, for those who've already fought Regen Worm or haven't but have watched a few videos, you'll know that the second form is a little bit more tough than the first one. The main boss, of course, is not damageable by any means other than killing those Tor mini minions, and those minions are only vulnerable to magic. So of course we'll go defensive with Matsukunda first, and we're going to use some magical AoEs. Now keep in mind that we have 2 VCs come in, and both OG Garyu as well as Bivette apply fire type resistance debuff upon coming in. But with the diminishing returns, you get the Bivette 30, and of course just a small addition with Garyu's 25%. So keep in mind that you do want to boost the int on your team, either with Myrus's boost, or in the case of Garyu, you can use his single target DPS, and it'll boost staff users' damage by 50%, as well as his own int, stackable up to 3 turns. So you can see that in comparison to a lot of the other mages I have with Manifest, Bivette doesn't do nearly as much damage. You can see that her single target did do a fair bit once she's boosted, but her AoEs weren't really comparable to the Manifest weapons of Garyu as well as Myrus. I mean, that being said, hey, she's essentially a free 5-star if you already had her in 4-star form, although you do have to do a number of hours of grinding. And at the end of the day, hey, having more versatility on your team is pretty cool. Also, if you did miss me comment on my previous video, Bivette was actually my first 4-star selector. Now, again, for those who don't know, when you first started Global, you actually not only got Miyu free, you got actually Miyu free as a crystal, which you can use right away and guarantees her as a 4-star. And then you can use the selector, which everyone gets in the game, and most people recommend to choose Seal, for example. I went with Bivette only because I wanted to play with Fire Mage, and having some Fire DPS on my team was pretty important at the time, just because I kind of play like that in RPGs. Anyways, you can see that every time you kill one of these minions, it does a significant amount of damage to the boss. And keep in mind that if you kill the Tor while it's in this flat form, then you do over 2 million damage to the boss. And if you kill it once it summoned the minions, you see that we had to kill an Abetos. It only did a couple 100,000 damage, so I would say around 10% of the total damage output. So you really want to kill it within the 3-turn limit before it spawns into, something else. I will also say, if you have access to zones, this battle would be much more familiar and pretty easy to beat in that sense. I decided to just, again, use a more traditional strategy just to kind of, play around with Bivette and kind of showcase some of her skills. So what do you think of Bivette so far? I mean, again, the damage isn't extremely impressive, but I do like the fact that she has essentially 3 hits, and bear in mind that without zones, that does give a fair boost to your AF bar if the enemies are weak. Now we do have enough of an AF bar to end these 3 mobs, and so let's see if we have enough damage and killing off the 3 mobs to end the boss right here. So we're going to spam as many AoEs as possible, and of course we can use some single target DPS because the explosion does a fair bit of damage with Garyu. I would say that even now in Japan, Garyu OG is very, very powerful. Now make sure that you target those Tors, because it seems like the targeting defaults to the big boss, which is actually kind of a waste. I don't think they should be doing that. So for whatever reason, you can see one damage was 2 million, the other 2 are only a third of that, which is 700,000 or so. So it summoned another 3 millions, and in this case, I think we only have to kill one more, so we can just use AoEs or single target DPS with our magic users. I will say that fighting this specialized boss, I find that using Myrus is actually pretty cool. I know that most people do have Mariel, but using Myrus with Manifest is pretty cool, and you can check out my 5-star review of her as well. So in conclusion, I wouldn't say that Bivette is the top fire mage in the game. I mean, you get a free one with Garyu and Garyu AS, but at the end of the day, if you like using her and her skills, and the fact that she comes with a free personal weapon as well, not too bad at all. And who can hate a cat lover? I mean, there you have it. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.